Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Doing sound check. Those online confirm you can hear us and also that you can see the room.
Good afternoon, Robert. Yes, we can see you
Yes.
and also hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you. This is Winston Young. We can hear you and we can see you. Thank you.
Confirmed. It's Faith. I can see you.
Thank you, Faith, for that confirmation. So most time.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this annual general meeting, which is being held virtually. The resultantly, members are attending the meeting via video conference, although we've got some members here in the auditorium with us. Thank you for your attendance and for giving me and my fellow directors your support. The full text of the chairman's statement on the 2025 financial year is contained in our annual report, which you have received. We reported pleasing performance in terms of volumes and profitability by the Zimbabwe business units. The turnaround of regional operation has taken longer than anticipated as the business experienced a number of setbacks driven by exogenous factors. At UNB in South Africa, we are seeing an encouraging penetration of Chibougu Super into new trade channels and the recruitment of new customers. NADPRO Zambia experienced debilitating power shortages for a prolonged period in F25. We therefore need to work on that market. You will be aware that we have got tax matters that are outstanding. Members should take note of the update on the tax matters contained in the financial report and in the chairman's statement. A further update is included in the trading update that we are going to give to you today. These tax matters are complex and will take time to be resolved. It remains difficult at this time for the board to estimate the final outcome and the timing thereof. On the dividend side, the board approved the payment of a dividend for the year to $3.3 cents per share compared to 3 cents in F24. I take this opportunity to welcome Mr. Gapu behind me here and Sharon Kurian to their first AGM as non-executive directors of Delta. I wish to thank my fellow board members for appointment as board chairman. I am glad for the support I have received from the main shareholders as well and various other stakeholders. And I assure members that I'll do my best to work with others to ensure that Delta continues to meet the expectations of shareholders and other stakeholders. I wish to thank all our staff members and management for navigating the group through the very challenging operating and regulatory environment. To my fellow directors and stakeholders, thank you for your support during the year. We appreciate that. I also like to place on record my appreciation to the board members for their support to the board and to our management. Our finance director, Mr. Alex Makamore, will provide a trading update immediately following this annual general meeting. This will cover the first quarter of this current financial year. If there are any issues which shareholders would like to discuss on the commentary, I will be glad to take questions before moving to the formal part of today's business. We are here to attend to any questions, if any, but you would have heard the chairman's statement for some time now, but I'll be happy to answer any questions that our stakeholders might have at this point. I don't see any hands. I will now proceed to the agenda of the meeting. Again, a warm welcome to all members and stakeholders who are physically present and those on the virtual platform. Most of the members are attending the meeting via video conference. The secretary and the administrators of the virtual platform will ensure that members follow and participate in the proceedings as necessary. Can I ask the transfer secretaries to briefly explain the mechanics of the meeting and the voting procedure so that we are all together? Transfer secretaries.
Thank you, Chairman. Good afternoon, members. Once again, Madonna here from COPSEL. So on the housekeeping matters, firstly, we are encouraging all our participants to remain on mute and also to have their video off so that we prevent feedback into the meeting and also to present bandwidth. In terms of proposing and seconding resolutions, Chairman, members are free to utilize the raised hand function that is on the platform so that they can do so. In terms of voting, members will be able to vote on the EAGM platform. And at the end of each resolution, there's a vote button if you are eligible to vote, where you can click and select your preference and as well as to commit it. That's all, Chairman.
Thank you very much for the advices that you have given us. The notice of the 78th Annual General Meeting, which is contained in the annual report, was published in the press on 24th of June 2025 and circulated via electronic mail. Accordingly, I request your permission to take the notice as having been read. Do I have consent? Thank you very much. A total of 1.1 billion, being 82.21% of ordinary shares in issue, are represented by proxies, all of which were lodged to the registered office of the company before 1200 hours on Wednesday, the 23rd of July, 2025. The schedule of proxies is laid on the table together with the register of directors should members wish to inspect these documents. In terms of Article 61 of the company, the chairman of the board shall preside as chairman of the annual general meeting. On the quorum, 3 members comprise the quorum. The transfer secretaries indicate that the members who have registered for the meeting represent 82.21% shareholding. We have a quorum present, and therefore I declare the meeting properly convened and duly constituted. Before we start, may I say that we have received apologies from some of our directors, being Messrs. Richard Rivet Kanak, Cherian Kurian, and our CEO, Ms. Valela, who is away overseas on business. The first item on our agenda of the ordinary business is the adoption of financial statements and reports of the auditors and the directors. The financial statements for the year ended 31 March 2025 have been circulated to all members. Are there any matters arising which members would like to discuss? This is the opportunity to raise any questions if you have, or any commentary will be welcome. I don't see any hand. The reports of the directors and auditors have also been circulated. May I have your permission to take this as read as well? Thank you very much. Anyone against? I don't see any hands. Are there any matters arising from the reports which members would like to discuss? this is the time for you to raise your hand if you want to discuss anything. Again, I don't see any hand. I propose that the financial statement for the year ended 31st March 2025, together with the reports of the directors and auditors therein, be adopted, and that all matters undertaken and discussed by the directors of the company be and are hereby approved and confirmed. May I have a seconder, please? Thank you very much for the seconding. The resolution having been proposed and seconded, I put it to the meeting. As a reminder, shareholders should vote on the online platform. And we will confirm the voting on each motion at the end of the meeting. I'm sure the transfer secretaries are monitoring and they're giving me a thumbs up. Thank you very much. The second item of our ordinary business is the appointment of directors. The chairman, Mr. T. Moyo, and the chairman of the Remuneration Committee, Mrs. E. Fundira, retire by rotation. Mrs. G. Gapu and C. Kurian retire at the end of their interim appointments. All being eligible, they offer themselves for re-election. I note that this agenda includes my re-election as a director. I'll therefore hand over the item to the company secretary to move the motion.
Thank you, Chairman, and through you. Members, may I please have a proposer that Mr. Todd Moyo be reappointed as a director of the company by show of hands? Thank you. May I have a seconder, please? Thank you. This motion having been proposed and seconded, I put it to the meeting. Please, members, let's vote online. Thank you, Chairman. I hand back the chair to you.
Thank you very much, Company Secretary, for a job well done. May I have a proposal that Mrs. E. Fundira be re-elected as a director of the company? Thank you. May I have a seconder? Thank you. The motion having been proposed and seconded, I put it to the meeting. Again, let's vote on our electronic platform. May I have a proposal that Mr. G. Gabu be elected as a director of the company? Thank you. May I have a seconder? Thank you. The motion having been proposed and seconded, I put it to the meeting. Again, let's vote on the electronic platform. May I have a proposal that Mr. C. Kurian be elected as a director of the company? Again, if I might remind colleagues that the profile of these people are all detailed in our annual report, if you need to actually refer to them. If there are any proposals, thank you very much. May I have a seconder? Thank you very much. The motion having been proposed and seconded, I put it to the meeting. Please vote on the electronic platform. Transfer Secretary, I hope I'm not being too quick for you.
No, all is in order, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. We will confirm all these results of the voting at the end of the meeting. The third item on our agenda is that of the director's fees. The director's fees for the chairman and non-executive directors are reviewed annually. A remuneration report is included in the annual report. These are paid on a quarterly basis. The total fees paid during the financial year amounted to $213,000. The board seeks your authority to continue to pay fees for non-executive directors on a quarterly basis. May I have a proposal that the past year's fees of $213,000 be ratified and that the fees continue to be paid quarterly? Thank you. May I have a seconder? Thank you. The resolution having been proposed and seconded, I put it to the meeting. Please vote online. The fourth item on this agenda is the auditor's remuneration. May I have a proposal for the approval of the remuneration of the auditors, Ernst & Young, for the past year in the amount of $580,000. Thank you. May I have a seconder, please? Thank you. The resolution having been proposed and seconded, I put it to the meeting. Remember again to vote online. Our next resolution, which is item number 5, is the appointment of external auditors for the current year. Shareholders are requested to approve the appointment of Ernst & Young as the independent auditors. May I have a proposal that Ernst & Young be appointed auditors of the company for the year to 31st March 2026? Thank you. May I have a seconder, please? Thank you very much. The resolution having been proposed and seconded, I put it to the meeting. Let's kindly vote online, please. That brings to an end the ordinary business of the day. If I could now go on to the special business, we have one item of special business. This relates to the renewal of the authority for the company to buy back its own shares. This was approved at the last annual general meeting in July 2024, and it was authorized for only 1 year. It is reported that the company utilized this authority to purchase an additional 2,729,816 shares during the year through the stock market, thereby increasing the shares held in treasury from 10,256,696 to 12,995,512. Should you grant such authority, the directors of the company state that it is their intention to utilize the authority at a future date, provided that the cash resources of the company are in excess of its requirements, and the transaction will enhance the headlines earnings per share. I move and propose for the meeting to resolve that the company authorized in advance in terms of Section 128 of the Companies and Other Business Entities Act, Chapter 24(31), the purchase by the company of its own shares upon such terms and conditions as set out in the resolution. May I have a seconder, please? Thank you very much. The resolution having been proposed and seconded, I now put it to the meeting, and we can again vote online. Thank you very much. As confirmation, could I ask the transfer secretaries to summarize the votes? We will give them a few minutes to tally the votes.
Chairman, I can confirm that our members have completed the voting process and that the results are showing on the screen.
Thank you very much. I hope you can all see the numbers on the screen and the voting pattern. I would like to thank our shareholders for supporting us on these resolutions. The Transfer Secretaries having confirmed that all the motions have been approved by the shareholders. I also like to confirm that all resolutions have been accordingly passed. This brings us to the end of the formal part of the annual general meeting. The Finance Director, who is also our acting CEO, Mr. Alex Makamure, would like to address you for a few minutes on a trading update for the current financial year. If I could actually hand over to Mr. Makamure at this stage. Thank you very much for your participation.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Chairman. I'll go through the business update as indicated by the Chairman. Just to start off by saying that we published and circulated the trading update yesterday afternoon. So it just most of the things that we're talking about today are already contained in that report. It is available on the Toyota website and also on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange website. Our subsidiary, AFDIS, also published their results, the first quarter trading update, which is available in the press, and will also be on the ZSE and their website. But I'll go through and talk to some of the issues just to amplify. We start off by looking at the trading environment, and what we raise is it's just on the Zimbabwean context. We talk to the operating environment, and we highlight that for the first quarter, the macroeconomic environment has largely been stable, particularly with respect to the currency. The exchange rate was very stable, but the margins between the official and the market exchange rate remains wide in the range of about 20%. We are encouraged, or we're encouraged in the quarter, that the exchange control authorities did relax the pricing rates that are afforded to the formal sectors, which we believe were leading most of our counterparts, including ourselves, in the fast moving consumer goods sector. We have seen, and we believe that there was quite some notable increase in disposable incomes. We highlight the issues relating to the record-breaking tobacco marketing season. As of yesterday, we saw 347 million kgs of tobacco sold at or around $3.30 per kg, which is quite significant. So agriculture remains one of the drivers that we see in our trading environment. When we talk to agriculture, we also talk to the issues about the cereals production. Last year was a drought year. This year, whilst the rains started a little late, we believe that the output from the agricultural sector in terms of maize and other cereals, and including cotton, will be much higher than the prior year, and is showing through the demand of our products. On the mining side, we indicate there the firm gold price, which is holding at relatively high levels, together with the output and higher mineral prices. We talk about the platinum group minerals, where we believe that the pricing has gone up quite significantly compared to the prior year. In mining, we also noticed that lithium, whilst the price remains relatively subdued, the quantities of output are on the high side. The other source of spend, Zimbabwe relies a lot more on diaspora remittances, which means that our source markets for diaspora and Zimbabweans across the globe are mostly from the rand, South Africa, and the United Kingdom, the pound, which are firmed against the dollar that we use in this market. So that also provides some kind of additional spend in dollar terms. Our businesses, we are aware that the government and the government agencies have been clamping down on illicit alcohol trade and trying to control the flow of some goods or smuggled goods, particularly beverages, coming into the country. This is stopping the indirect importation of our range of beverages and giving us some kind of help in terms of the demand of our products. But we still call out a few challenges that we see in our own trading environment. Topical is the issue about the sugar tax and the impact that it has had on our soft drinks businesses in terms of the sparkling beverages and also on the cordials, where we still see quite some high levels of product coming into the country, particularly from the north in terms of Zambia. In the previous periods, we saw quite some kind of increase in products out of Mozambique, but it has slowed down because of the clampdown that I spoke to. But there is also the issue that as people or manufacturers are avoiding the sugar tax, there is an increased use of artificial sweeteners, and the markets, the consumers will react differently depending on their perceptions about those. In the local market, there is also just an increase of products that are channeled through the informal sector in terms of new beverage offerings that are coming out. So that is also creating a challenge. So we highlight that the sugar tax, just besides affecting our line of beverages, there are certain social economic issues that still need to be looked at. We also note as a challenge that the route market regulations that came in last year do impact on our access to the informal market and to small traders, where if our small customer, our bottle store is not fully compliant with the tax authorities, we are required to levy a 5% sales tax, which means a higher price to them and ultimately to the consumer. The issue about the smuggling, I've already spoken to, it remains an issue. Or we are urging our counterparts in the authorities to maintain the momentum, but we know that it is very difficult to control the informal trade generally. And in that respect, we also highlight that some of the product that we face is not product that is smuggled, but is product that comes through and is exempt from duties because of the trade protocols under COMESA. Our chairman talked to the volumes. The narrative around the increases in the volumes have already been given in the documents that I referred to earlier. We summarized the volumes and the levels, but I'll go to each beverage type business shortly. All we highlight there is that our businesses recorded quite some commendable growth in the quarter, but we highlight the issue that whilst the alcoholic beverages are growing quite phenomenally, the soft drink sector, whether it is cordials or sparkling, are growing at a much slower rate. And that's the issue of the sugar tax that I highlighted earlier on. I'll move on, Chairman, to the specific businesses, and starting off with the lager beer business. When you look at the charts there, it means that we have grown by some 75 or 72% from F22 in terms of the first quarter. And if one was going to refer to F21, the volume in the quarter in F21 would represent less than a month of what we recorded in the current quarter. So there's quite a big jump in terms of these volumes. And what we highlight is the issue that this growth needs to be underlined by some kind of investment in capacity. We note that our supply of these beverages has improved, but there were some supply gaps because normally in the winter months, that's where we put down most of our plant for maintenance. And therefore, there might have been some issues as we were trying to relook at our ability to supply as we go into the normal peak period in the summer months. The are, like I'm saying, some bottlenecks that are developing in our plants, particularly in our filtration systems at Southerton, which we need to unlock. But really, we are flagging there that as we look forward, we might need to bring forward our investments in capacity if this kind of run rate that we saw in the winter months continues into the summer and it becomes sustainable. We are emboldened that the ability to, or the growth in the lager beer business, when we compare our business to our regional peers, population-wise and our per capita consumptions, that there is still this opportunity that we always said was being impeded by the economic issues in Zimbabwe. But we think that the business for Zimbabwe should be achieving much higher volumes. So that gives us confidence to bring forward some of the capacity investments that we see. We had already indicated that we are working on revamping and upgrading our plant in the Belmont in Bulawayo, but the lead times in doing these capital projects are a little longer. The issues and the impediments that we saw arising out of COVID still impact most of our manufacturers who are in Europe. And we also note that some of the logistical issues arising out of the regional wars in Europe and the shipping issues do impact on the lead times. So we will do our best to make sure that the maintenance programs that we put in and the utilization of our lines will be able to be met as we go into summer. I move now to the Sorghum Beer business in Zimbabwe. We take note that there is a lot more competition in this category, but we believe our strong brands, our strong Shibuku brands are standing their ground, and we will be able to compete with whoever is coming to that sector. We have a number of properties that we were executing and which we used to drive on. The good agricultural season in the current year and our increased marketing activations and working with our retail partners, we believe are going to help us sustain our market shares in the business. As we have seen previously in other sectors, when there are new players, we all compete on price, and that is good for the consumer and to generally uplift the volumes in the sector. We also note in the traditional beer sector that the competition from other products is also evident, particularly the spirits category for people looking for quick, alcohol. They tend to transition between your traditional beer and your lower level spirits. So the disturbance or the kind of action being taken to regularize and make sure that the players in the sector, particularly those manufacturers that are not currently registered, does provide us an opportunity to convert some of these drinkers back to our traditional beer. We do highlight the issues about the problems in the retail sector because of the high volumes that we handle in this sector. It is important that we highlight the issue that the formal sector is struggling, whether they are retailers or wholesalers, and that has affected our capacity to supply into our traders. This business is sort of been riding on imported maize, but the good agricultural season this year will result in us transitioning to relying more on local maize. But we still concerned that the output in Zimbabwe and the maize that is available from the commercial trading sector might not be enough for our requirements, and we will therefore look to the region as we go into the future. In South Africa and Zambia, we note that we still, not back to what we've seen previously in terms of the volume throughput, but we are encouraged, particularly in South Africa, that our entry into the Chikuku Super category, the carbonated offering, has allowed us to increase our penetration into the formal sector, the formal alcohol trading sector in South Africa. Whilst the volumes in total are coming off, the contribution of the Chikuku Super and the carbonated offerings, which are of slightly higher margin, is increasing. Unfortunately, we had some disturbances from labor unions and some political and pressure groups during the quarter, and we believe that our engagements have helped us to resolve some of those issues. Zambia, I won't say much. We are trying to recover from the problems that we saw last year. And remember the issues about power only started affecting us from about August last year. So we are cycling in this quarter the volumes that were slightly higher in the previous year. Moving on to the sparkling beverages business, yes, we indicate there that there was some 2% growth in the volume of the quarter. But when you compare it to the 19% that we saw in lager beer and the 8% or 11% in the traditional beer, this becomes a little bit of a sluggish growth. And this growth is underpinned by really us taking a broad move to revert back to the prices that were prevailing on our key packs before the introduction of the sugar tax. We talk about the $4 on the 300 ml, and we talk about the $4 on our PET small pack, the 440 ml, which we are trying to ensure that we are in the market to remain relevant to the consumer whilst we continue to engage our counterparts in government. We hope they will see that this category requires a relook in terms of the level of the sugar tax. And we highlight that the sugar tax that we are paying is not sustainable. From a value share point of view, we believe that there is an opportunity for the authorities to relook and make sure that this category. We are also seeing that as we reduce even if we hold volume, the volume could be on sweetened beverages. And these sweetened beverages will mean that our offtake of sugar, which is a key sector in Zimbabwe, will be much lower. And we have already seen that the government has noticed that there has been quite significant reduction in the offtake by beverages from the sugar industry, prompting them to put in the restriction that we've seen where a duty rate set tax of about 30% of imported sugar has been implemented to protect the local industry. We believe that it is important to relook at the whole framework around the sugar and make sure that our industry, particularly in the Masvingo, in the Lowveld, is not disturbed. I have already spoken to the issues about the imports, or whether illicit or formal imports of similar branded beverages from the region. As a reaction, we continue to grow our category of zero or low sugar variants as we react to the sugar, but also to our platform for sustainable development. The Maheo business was, we did a relook at and relaunch of this business around October, November last year. So we are seeing that the reformulated products that are available in the market are standing their own, and we are riding on the low volumes in the previous years, and we are currently running at levels that are surpassing our historical levels. There is competition in this sector. There are very quite strong brands that we compete with, and we hope that our offerings will remain relevant to the consumer. I won't talk much about after this. The results are out there on the trading update, but also we highlight there the issue about the launch of the bulk pack, the 660 ml handers, and that the disruptions to the illicit trade does assist this business. It also just we need to flag that this kind of level of volume requires some kind of investment. They are currently running with the investment in glass to support the 660 ml, but it is already indicating that their glass packaging capacity is fast running out, and we are already discussing as a board there enough just to try and bring forward some investments to support the growth that we are seeing. Perhaps this is, like we indicated, we are showing this business as a subsidiary from this quarter. The sugar tax was moderated after the beginning of the year in January, but we believe that the level still remains very high. We hope that the authorities will continue to relook. What we are seeing is an increase in reformulation of these products to take out sugar, to manage the pricing. Unfortunately, this is a very competitive category where also, because of the informalization of the market, it is faster and much easier for the informal industry to supply into this sector. And one worries about whether some products that do not carry the SAZ mark are really what they purport to be. So really, we are generally appealing that the soft drink sector needs some kind of attention from the authorities, but we are doing things to try and make sure that we remain relevant to the consumer. Once again, this is a sector where there's a lot of reformulation of products to reduce the cost. For Schweppes, they also do the ready-to-drinks in terms of the Minute Maid brand, and the investment that has been put in there in terms of the new line that was put in 2023 is beginning to show some benefit to reclaim our lost market shares in the category of ready-to-drinks and into water. Nampak, they will obviously be coming onto the market themselves. They are a listed entity and would want to reserve our comments generally on before they publish their own results for the quarter. But to remind there that there are ongoing discussions and the announcements relating to the Nampak International coming out of this business and selling their stake to GSL Limited. On the financial performance, one would need to highlight there that the comparatives do not include the Schweppes figures because it was being reported as an associate. So you will see that our revenue there was indicated as growing by 25%, but the 10% really relates to the addition of Schweppes into the current year, and that the like-for-like growth in revenue would be about 15%. Driven largely by that growth in volume in the alcoholic beverages and the counterweighted by the price moderation that we've seen in the soft drink business. We also indicate there that the economy remains largely dollarized, both in terms of revenue and in terms of our costs of our payments to suppliers. The ratios there still remain, in terms of the contribution of foreign currency sales, they're above 85%. Our operating margins, like we indicate, because of the higher volume growth in the lager beer business, the operating margins will expand a little bit because we do have better trading margins in the lager beer business. So the overall business is looking quite leveraged in that respect. The chairman has already spoken to the issue about the foreign currency tax assessments. There have been reports in the press around the Constitutional Court judgment, but we highlight here that the judgment by the Constitutional Court was not determining a specific taxable amount. What they declined was us to argue certain issues, procedural issues, and issues that we thought had not been dealt with by the lower courts. The other direction there was that these issues are issues that are capable of determination through the specialized courts and the fiscal courts, where we already have matters that are pending. We have full and extensive disclosures of these tax matters in all our reports, and we indicate that we haven't taken on this liability onto the balance sheet. Like we indicate that these taxes were paid at an appropriate value at the time. In the outlook, like I indicated, we are encouraged by the stability in the Zimbabwean operating environment, compared to the exchange rate. We do note, however, that the policy risk remains an issue, where we've always experienced about turns in terms of policies that are implemented and mostly implemented with immediate effect. The improved agricultural output will benefit us both in terms of cost and in terms of consumer spending, particularly in the rural markets. We did highlight the issues about the strong improving mineral prices, which will bolster disposable incomes. We highlight the issue that the sales rates that we have seen in our lager beer indicate that we need to bring forward some capacity investments. And as I have already said, that these investments do take slightly longer lead times, and therefore we have to work a little bit of overtime and work throughout the clock to optimize our current capacity. We will continue to execute in the market. I think the focus is on our route to market and optimizing our sales and the promotional activity, so that we are able to satisfy our customers. Customer service is an important thing in our lives. We deal with a lot of traders, and we would want to satisfy most of them in terms of our service. And product supply is an issue that we don't take for granted. We indicate there that there would be some impact on cost increases. We have our spares and some of our raw materials coming out of the rand and the euro, which will impact us if the dollar continues to slide against these international currencies. Noting, however, that there will be some benefits in terms of the cross exchange rate if income is coming on our side. Chairman, that's the quick review of the business. I will stop there and ask whether there are any comments or any questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Makamore, for that trading update on the first quarter. And I just want to express our sincere thanks to our staff and management for what looks like a very good quarter. Obviously, the economy changes from time to time, but we hope that the remaining quarters will show the growth that is actually, occurred in the first quarter. And as Mr. Makamore has indicated, you might like to pose a few questions and comments, and we are here to attend to those, especially on the results of the first quarter.
Robert, any issues on the chat or
Nothing yet.
any hands up?
Any hands up you can indicate so that we see your hand if you want to discuss anything. Or maybe Mr. Makamore was very thorough in his presentation, and we have no further comments on it. But as you know, as Delta, we have a tradition of giving these quarterly updates so that you are kept informed about what's happening. And we appreciate the comments and feedback that we get. If there are no comments, Transfer Secretary, has any hands?
No hands up, Chairman, no messages on the chat.
We have received no messages, no hands. And Ms. Makamore, once again, thank you very much to you and the executive and the staff for what I think has been a good job for the past 3 months. We hope that the other quarters will similarly produce results that our stakeholders will be interested in. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the end of the business today, the end of our Delta Annual General Meeting for 2025. I would like to thank you and say that we appreciate the support that we continue to have from both our shareholders and our stakeholders, and have a good day. Thank you very much.